Okay. So we'll start off with this month I want to do some kind of lettering styles which help you build like a repertoire of lettering. Normally we have just capital letters, big or small, which you write in different mediums. So you'll either write it in sketch pen or in watercolor, or you would have small letters, which is your handwriting. And then when you've written it on a page that is meant to be like a journal page or decorative, it doesn't look satisfactory. So we've done this in previous calligraphy sessions or lettering sessions also before. Now I want to distinguish between lettering and calligraphy. There is a class I do on Fridays on calligraphy that uses up very specific rules, and it's an almost complete antithesis to what we do in this class. Here, it's all about being free and embrace your mistakes and everything. That one is no embracing mistakes. Get rid of your mistakes. So it tends to be a little more focused and serious. So I'm not going to go into that kind of calligraphy because that's a different mindset altogether and a different application. For our class, our application is more fun. You need to be able to add lettering that is fun, but yet it needs to look good enough. And anything that looks good has to follow certain rules of aesthetic. At least you need to be aware of the rules of aesthetic of letters. And then if you want, you can manipulate them to serve the purpose you need to for the illustration that you've made. So today I want to show you open shaded letters, which is a cheat's way of writing calligraphy. And it can be used for some very casual lettering, titling, but not for body text. So the distinguishing factor between the two is title, of course, you know what it is. Body text is bulk of text that you write in small letters, no more than about a centimeter at the most, and you write a large quantity of text. So if you use a very decorative lettering style for large quantities of text, the text becomes unreadable and a little tedious. So you don't really land up enjoying what you are seeing. We want to balance the two. We want when I'm assuming that when you make this, it is going to be in conjunction with some illustration. So the lettering needs to make the illustration stand out, uh, become more, I guess, robust. The whole illustration starts becoming more thick in levels. So I explain as we go along. Um, I want you to right at the beginning separate your handwriting from what we are about to do. Your handwriting has nothing to do with how good your lettering is going to be. We are going to follow different kinds of rules and make the letters almost like you are illustrating. In the process of making a bunch of lines, you will arrive at something that resembles a letter. That is how I want you to treat it. That way, you distance yourself from an expectation that an A needs to look like this, or I'm drawing an A. It's not that. I'm drawing a certain stroke and another stroke and another stroke, and it resembles what I know as the letter A. So we're going to start off with, you can use either pencil, pen. If you have colored sketch pens, you can use those. You don't need flexible tip pens or brush pens. Don't use them right now. So I'm going to show you in all these different types of pens, what you can do and how it looks. So if you want, we can first start with pencil. And we are going to be drawing some baselines, but I would like it if you drew them freehand. But if you feel that freehand is a little scary, then feel free to use a scale. Make sure that the lines are light. Don't make very dark lines from edge to edge that can be seen from the moon. They just need to be seen by you. So hold your hand very light. We can make all the letters upright. So you can hold your book upright, not horizontally. Okay, so our letters are going to be about 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters tall. That's fairly large, which means before you start drawing, I just want you to see this first. Don't draw it first. Sometimes I goof up in my measurements, so I want to go through the goof ups myself, and then you can um, avoid making the same mistakes. So we are going to start off with drawing what will be the waistline. It's about an inch or so away from the perforation. So this is called the waistline or the X line. And maybe 1 finger width away, you can draw the next line. So you don't need to hold the finger and draw it against it. It's just to give you an idea of the space, about so much. Now, this is going to be the baseline. And all the letters are going to sit on this like birds sit on a wire. The part above the waistline is going to be the ascender space. And you can eventually have 1 or even 2 or sometimes even 3 lines that will mark up to which point an ascender can come, or at least give you a guideline so that you can go higher or lower. And then the same distance below, you can mark what would be obviously the descender line. And all the descenders come below. So very often, very poetically, the baseline is considered like the horizon line, and everything above is rising up in the sky, and everything below is going below the earth. This distinction helps when we are going to do flourishing, because then you see these lines going like lines in the air. I'm going to write the letters over here. I'm going to write the word open, so you get to know, or open shaded letters. So you get to know how the letters are going to look. So this is how the letters look. They are, I guess, a corruption of a copper plate script or an engrosser script, because it uses the same rules, but it manipulates the shaded area or the thick area so that you're able to write this with a pen which has just a solid tip. Okay, so barring the lettering, now I think you can make these lines. And I have realized that I have goofed up. I think we can make the lines a little less far apart. So make the X height, which is this height, slightly shorter. This will become too large. We don't need to make it so large. So I'm going to make this one more time. This is the ascender. This is the waistline. And you can make the baseline the same height and then descender. So this would look like one of our 4-line books. I think this should be enough. We don't need to make this so large. The reason this line is called an X line is because the size of the letter X, of the minuscule X, is for some reason considered the unit based on which other minuscule letters are also made. And this is the height of the letter X, and therefore this can be called the X height, and the line from the baseline up a distance of the X height would be the X line. It is also called the waistline because this is the point from where you have certain loops that come down to the letter will rest. So it almost looks like you're cinching a belt here, and the waistline makes it again a little more picturesque that way. Okay, once you've drawn this, use a pencil in the beginning to draw just some basic shapes. So one basic shape is a line that goes upwards. This is the entry stroke. And at a random angle, you can bring down a stroke like this that also goes up. So the stroke that comes downward is slightly angular and can be any angle that you find comfortable. And the stroke that goes up is a little shallow. Then you can make, now notice how I have made the shadow. I have just drawn a vertical line that comes down to this, to where the line turned. I have not turned the line along the corner. So this is the look of that shape. A slightly straightish line down, shallow line going out. And to this, I will add a thickness, and the thick line that comes down comes straight down. So do not make it, do not curve it. We are not making a line that's parallel to the earlier line, to the main line of the letter. Okay, then the next stroke is just the opposite of this. You first go up shallow and then come down slightly straightish. So you just make a round and come down along the same angle, more or less. And in this case now, you will make a straight shade from the inside about the same thickness. Now the thickness has to be maintained. This thickness and this thickness and all the other thicknesses need to be maintained, which means that the thickest part of the letter everywhere must be uniform. In this case, because it is like a parallel thick line, it should wholly match. Okay. Now the next letter is, not letter, the next stroke will be a combination of the two. So you first come down, turn up, and then come down again. So you'll notice how there's a subtle difference in the angle. This angle is more upright and this angle is more shallow. And this needs to be maintained throughout, both. So the lines that are coming down are obviously called, these will be the shades. They are in this direction. And the lines that go up are at a shallower angle. Those are called hairlines because they don't have enough thickness or what's called weight. And we repeat the same kind of shade as the first stroke. Same kind of shade on the other side as the second stroke. Now I'm going to give names to these strokes also, so that we know what they are when we use them. This will be a down turn. This will be an up turn. And to remember these, you just know where the stroke is headed first. So first it goes down and then turns around. And this one goes up and turns around. So that is down turn, up turn. This is a zigzag, which comes down first and then goes up and has two shades, the beginning and the end. And the next one will be the opposite of this. So in the zigzag stroke, we came down first. And in the next one, which is a compound curve, we go up first, shallow, come down, and then go up. Now here, there's a little bit of manipulation we need to do. Because if we come onto any one side, should we do it? Forget it. I'm going to ignore that. I mean, please don't pay attention to that sentence. Just from one side, you make it straight, but don't go all the way to the bottom. Here you can come and curve the line inward. So this is again a manipulated stroke. Ideally, we should have equal space on this side and that side. So I would, if I were writing it in ink, this is how it would look. It would be like a double joint. So I would have one stroke come from here, which is inside the curve, but you don't have to do such a complicated letter. And this would come like this. So that's the shape that is made. This is ideal, but this is good enough. So I've just turned it slightly to the right. Now, one basic rule of this lettering is that you never have any weight along the turns. All the turns are hairlines. If you can manage that, then that's half the battle won. Okay, now the next one is an oval, which is leaning in such a way that if we were to draw a line parallel to these thick lines, it would run straight through the oval. That's how the oval should lean. Don't make it too fat also. And we put a thickness on the left side. In some cases, you may want to put the thickness on the right as well, but technically just put it on the left. I'll show you how this matters later. And then we have some loops.
Aditi, the line inside the oval is
Yeah.
slightly curved, unlike the other ones which are straight.
Yeah, but you can make this straight also. It will look like it is curved. So just make it exactly like that. It will curve at the ends automatically.
Okay.
Okay, then we have the loops. So a loop is created like this. I'm going to extend a line even further, which is a higher ascender and a lower descender. So from the first ascender, this would be ascender 2, this would be ascender 1. From the first ascender, I will bring a line down like the downturn and turn it. And then from that same ascender 1, I will go towards ascender loop, but start ascender 2, start turning the loop slightly towards the right, almost the same on the bottom as on the top, but bring that loop round and come and touch it towards the main stem at the X line. And our shade would be exactly the same thickness, going up and down, touching wherever it needs to touch. In time, you can just make the line from the top also. Even now you can do it. You will get it. It's not too difficult. The last stroke would be a descender, which would come down from the X line. Again, you would turn here and go up towards the baseline. And in this case, we will put the shade on the left, not on the right. You can put it on the right also, but to get the right shape, it helps to put it on the left. But in the event that this comes on a G and you have an oval over here, it becomes too cumbersome to try and keep this little bit of a gap, so we can manipulate it. And then you have an exit stroke. Okay, so these are some basic shapes with which we will start making the letters. So let's make another few sets of ascender descenders. You can make just 4 lines for now, and wherever needed, we'll just extend a little bit higher so that we don't waste too much space. So after this descender 2, you can make descender 2 will become ascender 1. Or is it ascender 2? Ascender 2, sorry, yeah. This will be ascender 1. This will be the waistline, baseline, descender. I'm leaving a little gap and making this the next ascender 1. Waistline, baseline, descender 1.
You don't want a descender 2, Aditi, in that?
No, I've not put. So
Okay.
whenever, if we feel we want to, we need a descender 2, this can become descender 2. And in the lines below, if we feel we need an ascender 2, we can make this the ascender 2. It's okay for now.
Okay.
Now these lines, we have made them so arbitrarily, anything can go for anything. It doesn't matter really. Now, usually I give letters according to a certain order, not alphabetical, which is so ironic. I will give you certain strokes which you practice and write, but today I want to try giving you the entire alphabet alphabetically, A, B, C, D, so on and so forth. We will be using all of these strokes. Some might be slightly related to these, not exactly the same, but essentially the logic remains the same. So we'll start off with the letter A. Each letter, as you can see, will have what's called an entry stroke and an exit stroke. An exit stroke halfway becomes the entry stroke for the next letter. So each of the exit strokes needs to look like it's rising up, more or less. From O, W, V, the exit stroke will come sideways. I'll explain that to you as we go along. So we can start off with the letter A. I want you to see this first and then you can make it. I'll wait till you make it. And if you want, you can make multiples. You don't have to just make one. So you make an entry stroke, which is shallow and goes about 2/3 of the way up. Then you will make an oval. And then next to the oval, you will make a downstroke, maintaining this angle. So you have an angle that goes up, shallow, comes down, slightly more upright. And after you have done this, you will make these thicknesses. So you need to make the thickness on the oval of the A such that the thickest part over here, which is in the center or slightly lower than center, must match the thickness on the downstroke. So the oval is a basic unit for these letters. All the letters are going to be somewhere like one oval apart or a half an oval apart or something like that. So if I were to draw a whole chain of ovals about the same size, then all of my letters should fit in some proportion of that oval next to each other so that all my letters are equidistant and in order. So to begin with, if you want to draw the same oval that you've drawn here, one next to the other, like beads. And you can draw this now because you've already drawn the oval for the A. Now from the A, we'll go to B. We've already got an exit stroke. Check if your exit stroke comes about one oval away. It should come automatically. Our letters are going to be very spaced out, okay? So if, again, like I said earlier, don't consider this as writing letters. It is illustrating strokes. So our letters are going to be really far apart. Just stick to these guidelines. Now for B, we will come down with a stroke from one line above the X line to come down, and then we are going to go over and join this. So we have 1, 2 lines. We have an ascender 1, ascender 2 here. So we can make that line. So from ascender 1, we come down to X line, straight down to baseline. And as you come to baseline, you turn this around and you will almost follow this oval up and then make what's called a blind loop and then go to the next stroke. And for this, just for the sake of our aesthetic, go all the way across the loop, across the oval. Spend a lot of time and space here. And then from the other side, make a nice wholesome loop and bring it to the X line. And now carefully draw a line fully parallel to the main stem. Now, because C is a very small letter, it's almost just half the oval, we will draw the C between these two shapes, but it'll still be an oval shape. you will raise this exit stroke up slightly so that doesn't look like it's going flat, and make the C like this. It's just an oval, but half of it coming from maybe 1 o'clock. And then its exit stroke will go to the next oval. So after B, we had 2 ovals, right, in that chain, between which we made one oval shape, which is going to house the C, right? So after those 2 ovals, there's still, after this one C, there's still half an oval space left. That will be the space between C and D. And for C, we will make 2 shades. We will make a shade on the left, and we will take this line at 1 o'clock where we started from and turn it inward into a ball so that it looks like a good, a balanced shape. Moving on to D. So whenever we are adding a letter to another, sorry, one stroke to another stroke, technically they have to be next to each other, not necessarily always overlapping. So when we have drawn this A, when we draw the D, the next stroke for D is a downstroke, not a loop in this case. So make a downstroke. That stroke comes next to the oval, not overlapping. And in that, we are consuming the part of the space of the adjoining oval on the right. So this is the D. And it balances out like this. The 2 weights are both on the left side of the pencil stroke that we've made. Okay, are you getting this? Are there any issues so far?
No, fairly fine. Fairly fine.
Okay.
Needs a lot of practice though, but fine.
Yeah, practice. This is, well, practice is just going to have to be a given. But are you getting the logic of the letters? That's fine.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So next one, we'll make the E, which is just again like the C and goes up. And we could probably make the F again in this section, make a half oval here. So then the exit stroke from E can just go up to the oval between the next 2 ovals. And again, in this case, we normally think that the loop of the E should come and attach to the entry stroke, but that's not the case here. You can make it round and flat and beautiful, independent of the exit stroke, because again, this is not cursive writing. And put a thickness over here. Now, F is a strange letter. It comes down from like an ascender from X line, ascender 1. It comes straight down, where it goes all the way down to descender 1. And the top goes around and makes a loop. And because this is so upright, the next oval that it can catch is this one. So these two might look too close, or we can go to half oval further. So a lot of times, this decision of how or where you need to write letters, especially when you are or even when you're doing formal calligraphy, is left to the artist, where you want to carry it, how you want to distribute the weight. And from person to person, that can change. In order to keep this balanced, you can make a small circle or sometimes even just a little line on the left, so that it does not look like it's leaning forward and falling. So much of lettering is based on subtle aesthetics, the way the brain sees it. My ovals are becoming a little wider than I would like.
So Aditi, for F, you've taken the line or the thickness line on the left, right?
No, it's still on the right.
It's still on the right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Now it will come on the left for G. So for G, after you've made the oval, you can actually draw the thickness and make the line a little to the right, leave a little gap. And make
Aditi, you've gone down to D2 for the G.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just gonna go get some water and give you a few minutes to just. Okay, now again for H, we will go one on the existing oval that we have. We are going further and making an oval in between the next two. So now all these have started becoming the ovals at half point. Here for H, same thing, we bring a line down, but this time we don't turn it, we keep it flat at the bottom. And if you want, you can make the loop first, give the thickness on the right, and then you can make the compound curve, which essentially would be go up, and don't go too shallow here. So that is the shape. And come up and make the thickness on the compound curve also on the left. And on the compound curve, the bottom will turn, of the thickness will turn a little to the right before it goes to the baseline.
So Aditi, everywhere the thickness is on the left, not the right, except in G, right?
In G, over here in the compound curve,
No, G, the downward.
yeah, that too, and here also, it's on the left.
Yeah, on H also it's on the left.
Correct. And there'll be more such instances as we go along.
Okay.
So sorry, I have the same question like what Ritu asked. So in H, I mean, when we go up, we have drawn a line which is parallel towards the right.
Correct.
The-
The blue line is on the right over here.
Yeah, and the other one is on the left.
Correct.
So
But
you first make the thickness and then you complete the edge,
you can do that, yes. But see, that
because
is
otherwise there's not enough space.
these are things that you are interchangeable. There isn't a hard and fast rule that you need to make it one way or another. The reason
Okay.
I've made it like that is to show you that the spaces between all of these letters should remain as uniform as possible. So that is the purpose of choosing one side or the other side mostly. Now, when we start writing words with this, then you will see how this matters. Okay, now the next one will be I and J. So you just come down to make this down turn and make the dot on top of it somewhere close to ascender one. Make it really tall. Don't make it right here, like a bindi between your eyebrows. It has to go right on the middle of the forehead. And for J, because now I is such a tiny letter, it doesn't use up too much space, neither will J. We can make the descender, leave a little gap after the exit stroke to accommodate the shade and make the same kind of descender like we made for G and an exit spot. Because this is a casual lettering style, all the variables are changeable and mixable. The height of the ascenders, the length of the descenders, all of that can change. Somewhere we need to maintain some kind of uniformity to make it look aesthetically pleasing. But again, keep that open, keep that flexible. Shall we move on? So we finished two ascenders. The next two are pretty much like the same. The K is like the H, L will be like the B. So here I'm leaving 3 lines and coming down to this baseline. Ascender, sorry, not ascender, entry stroke, ascender, that's flat bottomed for the K. You can make the loop if you want to. Baseline, ascender 1, this is ascender 2, but it looks very short, so I'm just taking it higher. And K can be made, K's are always a problem. Let's make it like this. Make like a bow shape and then a compound curve like so. Again, over here, we can draw ovals. So make them proportionate to the ovals you've drawn on top. My lines are much closer on this second row than I made them on the first row. So my letters are also going to look proportionately smaller. This is the reason why I recommend making these this style of lettering for just one word or two worded capital titles. So for K, again, thickness on the ascender will be on the right. And also for if you feel that after you make the thickness, your second and third stroke is coming too close, you can remake it and spread it outward a little bit. And also remember that you don't need to come and attach over here. You can just keep it a little distance away. The thickness would come on the right on this loop, and sorry, on the left on this loop, and on the left. Like this is like a baby compound curve. L, and now you should be comfortable with this. And the next letter is a wide letter and can be a little complicated. So if we leave excess space after L, it might not look very aesthetic. So I'm going to, in fact, convert this to again half measure ovals. And I'm pulling the exit stroke of the L further and down like the zigzag stroke. So this will be the first place where the zigzag stroke comes in. So just observe this. Ignore the loop of the L. If you consider just this line, it can come down and go up like the zigzag stroke we have, where the thickness is on the right, on the down part, the first part, and on the left, the second part. And after this, we will make upturns about one oval length apart. And the second upturn turns into a exit stroke, which goes into the end. So I just want you to see this. It's like a dance. So this becomes a very complicated looking stroke. And then you have another compound curve that goes outward. So you have a zigzag stroke, an upturn, a compound curve that goes into an upstroke, and then another compound curve. These are the strokes. 1, 2, this is the upturn. This is the compound curve right up to here maybe, but it somewhere becomes the upstroke again. Or it could be an upstroke that goes into a zigzag stroke. It's a very complex long stroke. And then you have the compound curve. Thicknesses for these are as we have the strokes here. So you make it on the, since this is the tail end of the zigzag stroke, you make the thickness on the left. On the upstroke, the thickness is on the left. On the compound curve, the thickness is on the left. Here again, we can make it on the left. This is the upstroke or the, And then again on the compound curve, it's on the left. So now you see how in all of these, the thickness has been made on the left side. But don't memorize this, whether it's on the left or the right. Do not memorize it. Go with your gut. If you feel that your first arch on the M is too big and the second arch is too small, then you can make the thickness on the left. If you feel the arch is too thin and the second arch or the other way around, then you can make the thickness on the right so that you balance out the distance between the two arches. It's about balance. All this is manipulation. Next is the letter O. So imagine on the O, the same point where we have made the ball terminal for C. From the same point, we have a line which goes down to create just a blind loop. And then from there, it goes upwards towards the waistline to make the letter P, which can be just a straight line like this. I've made it on top. First, make the thickness. And then next to it, you will make the compound curve. And remember this, because this thickness comes into the oval, this compound curve can go a little beyond into the next oval and then exit into the oval after that. Very often, I have also made this mistake. I feel that now that we've consumed so much space on this oval, the whole P must come inside that one oval itself. Don't be mistaken like that. That the space between the letters is meant for this adjustment.
Aditi, can you wait for a minute?
Yes, I can. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
no
had a
problem.
question for E. E on the right, similar to K, don't we have a thickness for E?
For E, we have a thickness.
Like for K,
Oh, this part.
curve, yeah.
No, you don't need to make it on this one. But there are
Mhm.
certain formal scripts on which they do tend to make that thickness, but they make it somewhere
Okay.
here. But
Okay.
don't bother with that. No, it unnecessarily will complicate life.
Okay.
I've
Okay.
forgotten all my calligraphy, Aditi.
Yeah, never mind. It's okay. Don't try to remember that also.
No. I will get back only when I have time. Matlab,
Yeah,
I don't want any breaks in my learning.
no worries. It'll come back. It'll come back. Okay, now for Q, we make the oval. And this time, don't leave a gap because we are going to make a descender that loops in the opposite direction. So you can touch that descender to the oval. And as you come round, you turn around pretty much like how we've turned the L. But instead of going just short, you take this as an inverse loop up to the baseline and then an exit stroke up. But don't do the exit yet because we'll decide on where we want to exit to. So make the thicknesses first. I think we can go jump to the next oval completely. So adjust that exit stroke, bring it close to the base. And there's a lovely R that I want to teach you all, but that requires a little complex. I'll go to a half oval beyond. And from here, we will make what would be like a upstroke and a stem. So go up, turn a little, and come down like that. And where you have this oval, you can make a nice All terminal like the C. The thickness on this will come to the left, and of course the ball terminal. Now the fun bit is, I'm just going to extend this a little bit and write the letter S also over here, because the connector between R and the next letter is very beautiful. It just comes down. So if this line goes from the top, you make a connector that comes down like that, and then goes up to S, makes a blind loop. A blind loop is just like a small slit, not a big loop like that. And then comes straight down on one side of the oval. Again, make a nice ball terminal and then an exit stroke like that. This really looks like two ice skaters. The two ball terminals and the grace in which the stroke goes up and down and loops and comes around. It's just gorgeous. Okay, now this D1 is going to become my A1, waistline, baseline, and descender one. Let me straighten this line a little bit. Everything is looking very messy and very cash. Okay.
And one more thing, Aditi, this
Ah.
K and L,
Yeah.
they have not gone up to the ascender 2 height, right? In
They have. This is, so above waistline is ascender 1,
Hmm.
and above ascender 1 is ascender 2. I've gone a little beyond.
Oh, beyond that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next. We have, make some more ovals. Just maybe make the first 3 and let's see how we want to make the next ovals. T is going to be pretty much like I, except it will go up to only ascender 1. And then exit to the next oval. The crossbar on the T will come maybe about halfway between the waistline and the ascender 1 line. And the crossbar is lower than the dot on the I and J. So even if you don't make the dot all the way up to the ascender line, it must be higher than the T, the crossbar on the T. And this will come in handy in many letters because in many words we have I and T and I next to each other. Now the U is fairly simple. It's like I, oh sorry, and another I. Making the next oval for the V. Here it can be a little complicated. So I am, what should I do? Yeah, I'm going to make a oval at half over here because it goes too far away otherwise. For the V, we have to enter in with a compound curve. Here, we've not come with an overturn like that, right? We just went up and then came down. For V, we have to do this in all scripts to distinguish it from the U. And you come up, make a blind loop, then go up beyond this half oval and make a W over here. So we'll wait for that. So in this case now, you can decide whether you want to make it on the left or the right, depending upon how your space is distributed. If I make my thickness on the left, the right side would look too wide. So I'm going to try and make it on the right, where I've turned it around the top and then come straight down and attached to the base in a straight line. Already this looks a little too wide, but we'll live with that. Now W, very simple, pretty much like the U.
Aditi, on the W, both the strokes are on the right hand side,
Yes.
the filler strokes. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And here's a nice X we can do for the next one. X is already almost visible here. Take the stroke up in a very small space, and we will make a compound curve that will extend outward with thickness on one side. This is the left side for the compound curve. And then you can draw a line coming down like this to the center and extending outward from the center. This should look like it's in the same place. Beyond, it's like a line that passes through. And then Y should be fairly simple. You should try to write it without using the oval. And I'm going to write the Z over here because I need this extra space. Yeah.
Aditi, where did you start the Y from? I'm a little confused. Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
Hmm. And
Nice.
the Z is drawn a little differently. So I'm not drawing it. I'm changing the baseline of the Z and just consuming this space here. So don't pay attention to this. It actually comes right here, but I don't have space. So assume that this is the oval at the X line. This is whatever previous letter we are writing. So the Z is written in almost reverse. So you write the opposite side of the oval and take the line sideways and inward a little bit. And then it's almost like it's taken a detour and gone out. And in the same line as the edge of the oval, you will bring this line outward and go straight down and then create this loop. So I want to caution you on a few things here. Do not be tempted to come down straight because this will make your lettering upright. So very consciously go down a little to the left of where you see the oval in a linear manner. And then, of course, in this case, we will put the thickness on the left side of the oval. Everywhere else on the oval, we have put the thickness on the right. But since this is a counter bowl, this is the opposite side of the bowls that we are using, here the thickness will come on the right. So this is how the Z is going to look. Now this is only the minuscule letters. Uh,
Mm.
So I want you to now try writing a few words with this. We should have enough time for that. Do make a baseline X line, a sender descender line if you feel the need. Even when you are doing this in your illustrations, absolutely no problem making these guidelines. And write whatever words you can with small letters, just the minuscule form of the letter. Again, here's another thing that we do in formal calligraphy. I'm showing that to you a little later. You can also mark parallel lines for the angle you want of your letters. So let me try writing everyone's names. Send this stroke. So I've written all of this a little far away from all the strokes, a little further away. And now I can add the thickness. Okay, you want to try it? Okay, one thing I probably might have not mentioned, when you are writing these letters, take frequent breaks. And by frequent, I mean really frequent. After every stroke, take a break. Sometimes even between strokes. So you go up, take a break, lift your pen. Then make another stroke coming down, lift your pen. So that you can always be sure that you're making the stroke correctly, you're holding the pen correctly. This is, it's a very modular lettering style. So you don't have to write it like cursive. How's it going? Are you all getting it?
Yes, going good.
Good, good. Okay. Ritu, you're mute.
Aditi, the V, the thickening is on the left.
Here it's on the right, but it can be on the left also because this is a compound curve.
Okay.
Because the shape of the V became so deep and wide, I made it on the right because there's nothing on the left. It does not have to adhere to any thickness or uniformity on the left, but on the right it would matter.
Okay.
Now, the advantage of this lettering is the ability to choose how you want to color these letters up. So, if we can easily color them up with pencil, for example. I'm adding the shadows in the same color. But you can also do one thing. You don't need to make the shadows very firm. So even something like this can create a very interesting look. A very sketchy shadow. Leaving some gaps over here can sometimes almost imitate highlights. You could also make an elegant crossbar like this.
I see that your hand is very light, Aditi, while doing the shadows.
Yeah.
Mm.
You need to,
Makes a
I have
difference. It
tried
makes a difference.
yeah, work on.
Yeah.
And I'll just show you some coloring in a contrasting color, maybe.
I've already sent my picture on the group.
I'll look. I'm very curious to see. Have you-
Purple and yellow I've done already.
Oh, okay.
Classic combination.
Yeah. So once we
Very quick,
get this,
Tarini.
I am always in a hurry to do everything.
so this one is a nice lettering style for people in a hurry. You
Ah,
can create a
interesting.
lot of effects.
Yeah. Looks lovely.
You don't need to paint the whole thing.
Mm,
So you
mm.
can, oh, very nice.
So you use only the red, is it?
Huh?
I said you used only the red. I missed you doing.
Orange, orange, orange. I colored only the bottom part with orange.
And with a pencil, right?
Color pencil, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, see,
Looks
that also
good.
makes a difference
Yeah,
because
it
that
makes a
gives a
difference.
very subtle,
Correct.
you know. If you were
Interesting.
doing it with the like a sketch pen or something, then it would be different.
Yeah, everything changes how would
I
depend
have used
how
these
you.
two.
Okay.
And one side is a small point,
Ah,
which I did the outline, and I filled
right.
it with the brush, kind of.
Correct.
Yeah.
Can I show you what you can change on this or work on?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I'm sure you'll also have noticed what can be different.
Hmm.
The bottoms here, for example.
They are uneven.
Well, uneven, yes, but that you'll get. That's not a problem.
Huh.
This part, you don't have to make it fat like that. It would be this line that comes down and
Okay.
turns very sharp and goes up. We get enough
Oh,
room on the other side to accommodate the end.
right.
So it does not, this was like a wasted energy going
I see that.
so
I
far.
see that now. And
Yeah,
it almost looks like they're disjointed.
correct.
Hmm.
So we need extra space at this. This looks very unusual also, but there's a negative triangular space you get in this area under most letters. Like even over here,
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
this, it could have gone up, and the ascender could have come this far.
I see your point. Hmm. So
So
too
it's
far in some cases and too close in the other.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that is normal. That is what is happens because you're new to it. And
Right.
we don't know how those balances work. So
No,
it'll
but I'm glad that you could give an example, right away. So then it sticks in my head.
yeah.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, if you want to make those ovals,
Okay.
most people who do lettering use a gridded practice book.
Hmm.
They would, but I don't want to get into that rigorous practice for this class. Try to keep
Right.
it fun and flowing and just make sure that the spaces between the letters and some of their connector strokes are uniform.
I've done better with the ovals actually.
Hmm.
I'm sending you the picture of that also
Okay.
because it's nice for you also to get feedback about how we take on your suggestions
Of course,
while
yeah.
you're teaching also. So
Yeah.
I feel the ovals actually have worked better for me now that you mention it. I
Hmm.
just put the picture on the
Yes.
group.
Yeah. This is good.
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean. Hmm.
Good. So, also I wanted to ask you, when you're coloring in the thickness, you are using the fat part of your pen, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But then that will limit the subtlety with which you can join. So it's fine. It creates a certain effect. We just need to, you
Mhm.
need to limit where you use it. Because the places where the stroke is really like it's fat and then it becomes narrow in a particular shape, that gives the elegance to the letters.
Got it. I'm quite heavy-handed while writing also and while painting also. I need to go lighter. I saw how you did it.
Hmm.
Otherwise, most of the time my head is down. I mean, trying to focus on what I'm doing and missing out on how you are moving your hand.
Yeah,
So I think I need to observe that a little bit more.
yeah. It makes a big difference seeing
It
how
does. It
hand.
does. But this is really nice. I'm glad we did this today.
Good. Now the same letters you can also write upright, by the way. There's no reason why you can't change the angle. I've shown you the angle which is most I guess, connective to the formal part. But I'm quickly going to demo because we have 1 minute and I'm going to pack in as much as I can. Oh my God. So the same thing you can write upright as well. You just don't put angles there. And that will change the look also. That can look a very quaint 60s style lettering. So, so
This
between,
also looks quite cute.
yeah,
Nice.
and
It
between
does
this
actually,
and
and how
this,
beautifully you did it in just under a minute.
this also looks nice. So give it a go. See different angles. Change the thicknesses. You can make them even fatter. Then that will look different. Try multiple colors. There's hajar things you can do with this. Okay, so next week we can either I can show you the capitals of these. Let's do the capitals. So then at least one lettering style you have well done. And then I can show you brush lettering later, but you might have to remind me all these things. I'll put it down.
Okay.
And then also you spoke about the other
Broad edge. Yeah,
broad edge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like a quick thing, you know, when you want to get something done fast.
that's true. So
Yeah.
I've
So we'll get those pens, no? The broad edge pens.
yeah. So that's these. A super chisel. Get 3 or 4 pens of different colors. A red, black, green.
Okay.
Don't get light colors, but if you want, the whole kit is available for just $100. It's a nice
Yeah,
10
it's quite
color
nice.
set. It's good. It's very nice for practice also.
Is there any particular size for the chisel end?
No, these come in one size only. And
Okay.
these are the ones that I recommend right now because they're cheap. But
Okay.
when we do the exercise, I can probably show you how you can carve your own pens also. So you don't land up using too many plastic things.
Yeah.
The more I do this, I realize that we waste so much material. At least with calligraphy, we can completely eliminate that. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I hope
Thank you.
you have
Bye. Have a great
Are you
Sunday.
doing Gothic fractal in any class?
I had in mind to do an Anshul because that has more applications and also it is very compact. It does not have majuscule, minuscule. So we can do just one set of letters and it's quite characteristic also. Equally historic, Gothic and black letter is used very widely, but Anshul is not used. So it can give you a distinguishing style.
Yeah.
Even
So if
Newland,
you
I think.
ever do a Gothic or fractal, just let us know because I'd really like to learn Gothic and fractal.
Okay, then
Since
we
the
can do
broad,
that.
I have done Anshul before, but no, it's okay. I mean, if like you said, Anshul is very, it has probably more application, but Gothic and fractal too. I have never had a base in Gothic and fractal, or even italics. Italics Yeah, I've never done Gothic and fractal, so I've been
Then
wondering how to.
let's do the Gothic in the calligraphy.
Okay,
There I can do it properly then.
sure, sure.
Okay.
And you
Okay.
mentioned Newland once, Aditi. This was some time back, but
Oh,
Newland script.
yeah. Okay. We won't do it right now. You need to get a
Yeah.
handle on the broad edge for that.
Yeah,
Maybe some other time, but remind me in another 2-3 months. I'd really like to show you. That is the best.
sure.
Okay.
Varsha, don't forget.
No, no.
Varsha doesn't forget. Varsha doesn't forget. She, I think, notes it down somewhere.
What font is this?
Okay.
There's
Newland
a,
script.
yeah, there's a new, it's not Newland. It's like a very complicated name. I'll share it on the group. I'll show you how
Okay.
the script looks. Very modern, very beautiful.
I see.
I'll find out and let you know.
Yeah.
Okay, chalo. See you
Bye
everyone.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Aditi,
Bye,
just
everyone.
share the different styles, no? So it would be nice. Then we'll keep it in our mind and keep reminding you we want to do this, want to do that.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
if you want, why don't you on my Pinterest now? There is a
Mm.
board called Calligraphy Inspiration.
Okay.
Just check it out. There's 100 things. Pull out from there, put it on the group, and say, how do we do this? How do we do that?
Okay.
Some I have studied, so I can show you.
Sure.
Some I can figure out. We can figure out.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
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 Bye. Bye.